I am glad to attend this event and engage in a debate organized by the International Human Rights Commission. It is this very subject that of human rights that I would like to address in these particular times produced by the COVID-19 pandemic. Even before the pandemic, the issue of human rights has been a sensitive one. It is a fact that the COVID-19 was exploited by authoritarian regimes to their best advantage. Human rights and democracy are vulnerable in the time of crisis, especially during the pandemic, which was used as a pretext to increase governmental control. The many states of emergency imposed all throughout the world were both a protector and an enemy to human well-being. It was a forced home arrest and forced to prevent the spread of the disease, but also a shelter to be able to perform various abuses against migrants or national minorities. Even more, it was an umbrella for authoritarian regimes to act according to their wishes and enforce regulations that would have not otherwise been implemented democratically. There are different perceptions of human rights. What we feel to be important for us, freedom of speech, movement, the protection of personal lives, and our property fades in the eyes of those who are denied access to water, sanitation, medication, who are constantly persecuted and abused for being part of the national minority. To them, these are veritable human rights that are infringed. And it is all the more tragic because the pandemic veered our view from them to the peril of the disease and the rush for a vaccine. Yet the peril of the disease is stronger in those areas of the world where people do not have access to basic commodities such as water, food, and medicine. And the vaccine is pointless to them since it was not yet, which is again a shock, reached their areas. I would like to take a moment to highlight that as far as I am concerned, human rights are not a mere theoretical issue, but a life experience. My adolescence and adult years were lived under communist dictatorship, in which it was possible at any time to be arrested, sent to force. Hundreds of thousands of people underwent this tragic experience in my country, among whom were people who were close to me or even family members. We conquered our freedom by popular rebellion, during which the repression forces killed thousands of people, shot or run over by military tanks. However, this rebellion had not been possible in the absence of the debate of human rights generated by the Helsinki Agreement. When discussing human rights, we do it in terms of numbers. But people should not be just another statistic, as they are alive human beings who need to be perceived in their entirety, physical, moral, and spiritual. This is a major issue that we need to address nowadays. People not as numbers, but as human beings. Human rights are among the issues that have been left in the background during the pandemic, and this did not solve them, but rather got them worse. In addition to that, we as leaders of the world, decision makers and scholars, have failed to see that an attack on human rights is also an attack on human dignity. Our present phases of Our present world faces a series of paradoxes. Underdevelopment does not exclude arming. Democracy does not eradicate corruption. And market economy fails to prevent ecological disasters and unemployment. 50 years after it was adopted, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is systematically defied, either on ideological pretext or under the endemic burden of poverty. We live in a more or less the same 21st century world, thanks to international law and by virtue of technological progress. We will not really have a dialogue until we live in the same type of time. But in order to stand before one another with our particular affinities and needs, it is necessary to establish a universal consensus referring to those moral values that protect not only each community, but also each person. How could we initiate a real dialogue to discover it? If we cannot always perceive the common good, it seems to me more reasonable to begin with identifying the common harm. It is in the interest of all nations to meet on the same ground in order to reject what they all reckon to be intolerable. I am confident that everyone here refuses from the very beginning the idea of war, terrorism, torture, pollution, crime of opinion, xenophobia, racism and genetic manipulation, exploitation of children, social exclusion, hunger, professional discrimination on sex, religion, or ethnic affiliation. We have the duty to diagnose together these diseases so that we can heal together the wounds that they continue to make. In the fight against COVID-19, we are attempting to be resilient. The resilience we are built today as a response to violations is not just for today, but for tomorrow as well. And along with this resilience, we need to enforce a zero-tolerance policy against abuses to our basic rights. Thank you.